Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is James and welcome back to the Soundline. So today we've got a brand new amplifier that's just come in. It's the latest one from Marantz. It's called the Model 40N and is available in black and their sort of gold, champagne, silver sort of finish. So today we're just going to be giving you what we normally do, our general overview, talk about the controls, the connections, how it sounds, our impressions of it and everything it can do. So starting off, where this falls in the line. So this is the second amplifier that Marantz have released with this new facelift. Going forward, I expect all Marantz amplifiers, CD players and home theatre receivers probably as well, are going to have this new style look to it. I'm a really big fan of how this looks. I think it's a much more modern approach to hi-fi amplifiers, and I love the LED, which is like sort of washing out from behind this floating center console onto this textured beveled aluminium. I think it looks really, really good. They did release this at the same time as a CD player, the Marantz Model 60. This and the Model 60 were kind of designed to go together, but obviously you can mix and match. So what can this unit do? It is what I would classify as a streaming integrated amplifier. That's basically just another way of saying it's a standard integrated amplifier, but unlike standard ones, it has streaming built in. So this uses Marantz HEOS app. Through HEOS, you can do things like tune in radio, you can do Tidal, you can do Amazon Music. It's got AirPlay 2 built into it. You can also Spotify connect directly to it as well. There's a bunch of different things, and I think it also works in with their multi-room system that they've designed. I'm not going to talk too much about the app today. It's just, good for you guys to know. You can stream directly out of this unit, and it does have Wi-Fi aerials on it, or even better would be to plug the Ethernet cable into the back of it. In terms of the integrated amplifier aspect of it, it comes with everything you would expect. You've got 3 line level inputs for CD, line 1 and recorder input, and then you've also got a couple of digital inputs as well, coax, SPDIF and Toslink optical audio input. On top of those other digital inputs, you also have HDMI ARC, which is great because it means you can feed the audio straight out of your TV directly into this with one HDMI cable, and that means when you turn the TV on, this is going to automatically recognize that, switch over to that input, and then you've got direct volume control and power of the amp from the TV remote control, making your TV sound great and really easy to use. I liked the fact that they didn't make it a E-ARC connection. This being a 2-channel amplifier, why does it need high channels? So I like the fact that they just kept it simple, did a standard ARC connection, rather than trying to win it over in terms of spec, like look, it can do E-ARC when you're never going to use that. The HDMI ARC, I did want to mention that I have tested it. I know HDMI sometimes can be a bit funny, and we see that all the time with different brands of amplifier and TVs not wanting to talk to each other. I have tested this on Panasonic TVs and it works perfectly, straight out of the box, no software updates needed. I haven't tested it with any other brands because we mostly just deal with Panasonic TVs here, but it is worth you guys knowing. It seems like it works perfectly as it should, and it does have a phono input in the back here as well. Quite a nice one, I'm quite impressed with it. It's not as good as an external phono stage as you would usually expect with an integrated amplifier, but it is nice. And they have done a good job separating it from other noisy parts of the system as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about that once we get to the architecture of this. So going across the front of it from left to right, we've first of all got our power button, which is just a soft standby power button. This does have a low power standby mode, and you do need that in an amplifier like this where you've got the ability to turn it on and off remotely, either from hitting play on a stream from Spotify or if you're turning it on with the TV. So there is a soft relay in here that turns on, and also means you can turn it on with a remote control. And then you've got your input selector, which feels really nice, kind of akin to the Accuphase one. It's got a nice solid clunky feel to it, which is what you want. Source direct on off. When you activate this, a relay ticks in here, and basically what that does is disengages these next 3 knobs, the bass, treble and balance. And then you've got your volume control, which is just a digital rotary encoder, so you get the volume readout on the front display here, and then a nice 1/4 inch jack for headphones. So now looking at the back of it, starting at the very top left, there is one at the top right as well. It's the Bluetooth Wi-Fi antennas that I mentioned earlier. It does come with two. You've also got a USB socket there, which is mostly just for playing files off of memory sticks or external hard drives. And you can access those through the app. Then you've got a network port, RJ45 for your Ethernet, HDMI ARC for your input from your TV, a coaxial and an optical input. Those are your digital inputs there. Down below that, you've got your phono stage, which does come with the nice RCA caps on them as well to prevent noise from getting into the system when it's not in use. And then obviously going down below, we've got our standard analog audio inputs, CD, line, recorder input, recorder output. Bear in mind that that audio output there is going to be at full volume the whole time, so don't plug that into a power amp. For preouts, it doesn't have a standard full range preout, so you can't actually hook a separate power amplifier up to this, but it does have a subwoofer preout, so you can feed off to an active subwoofer or a subwoofer amplifier of some kind. And there are settings in the unit so that you can adjust the crossover for that output. And then you do have power amp in as well, so you can use the Model 40 as a power amplifier, but you just can't feed a power amplifier off of it. And then you've got Marantz's remote control in and out, which is what they have had on their products for a long time now. Just allows you to link two products with an RCA cable, and it means that one device can control the other, so that if you're using the HEOS app, for instance, and you click next track on the CD player, the amplifier can then tell the CD player to go to the next track. Some really nice chunky speaker wire terminals here, 5-way binding posts, so you've got the option to do banana in the rear of it, or spade in from the bottom left-hand side of it. Or if you are just doing raw wire, I like that they do have kind of a socket on the top right-hand side where the wire can poke into and have as little chance of any cores fraying out and touching. So I really like these, they feel great. In terms of materials, I've already said it a couple of times, they've now got a nice aluminium finish across the front of it. Everything on this that you see, bar a couple of little, Wi-Fi aerials, is pretty much made of metal. Everything is aluminium. All the knobs are aluminium. This fronting faceplate is aluminium. Standard steel top and a double thick steel layer at the bottom. Now I do want to talk a little bit about the internal layout, because the internal layout is really nicely done. This is a sign of a well thought out, well designed amplifier. If you're looking at this view here, you'll see at the top left hand side, or actually completely on the left hand side of the unit, that's where the power supply is. So at the very top left, that's where the power comes in, and you've got your filter caps and your main power supply circuit board. And then directly below that is your great big double shielded toroidal transformer. All of that is separated by this heat sink down the middle, meaning any noise that transformer or those filter caps are giving off is physically separated from the more important components of the amplifier that are sensitive to that kind of noise. And then the great big silver section that you see on the right hand side, that is all completely shielded because that is the input section and the digital section of the unit. So that's the most sensitive to interference and noise by output stages and power supplies. So they've done a really nice job shielding that and keeping it far away from the noisy components. I did just want to talk about the remote real quick, guys, because the remote's really nice, and it is worth noting. It's not a metal finish like the rest of the amplifier, it is plastic, but it looks great. The buttons feel great and it has a nice weight to it, which I always like in a remote control. I don't like it to feel too lightweight because it kind of gives the impression of it being cheap. But this is really nicely designed. They've got the, so the metallic grey finish going on with the gold inlay on it that matches the Marantz logo. It's got all the buttons for all the different sources that you can click. You can control the menu structure of this from the remote control, making it nice and easy. And it's also got all the controls for controlling the CD players that they do as well. So you can basically just have one remote and go from there. So yeah, the remote's good. So now talking about some technical specifications of the unit. I'm not going to go through all of them, probably just the key ones that you might be most interested in. In terms of power, it is 70 watts times 2 at 8 ohms. That's class AB power, by the way. And 100 watts times 2 at 4 ohms. For a power supply, it's got a nice double shielded toroidal transformer. Anytime we see a toroidal in a product, we always have high hopes for it because honestly, some of the best sounding power supplies are toroidal ones. So we're excited about that. So for frequency response, this unit is quite impressive. It has a response of 5 Hz all the way up to 50 kilohertz. Obviously, I know that humans can't hear to 50 kilohertz. These wide bandwidth amplifiers that can do this, by having a response of up to that level, what it tells me, or tells you, is that at 18 or 20 or whatever the limit of human hearing is, this amplifier is not struggling. It's just a walk in the park. It's playing those frequencies with absolutely no breakup, no roll off, and so it's going well beyond what you can hear. That is what gives you the really lovely, airy, open sound with these high bandwidth amplifiers, because it can resolve the sound and you're not getting that roll off at the top end frequency response. So it's good. Having listened to it already and I know how it sounds, that makes total sense because this does have a lovely, open, airy sound. And in terms of weight, it's a little over 18 kilos. For the size of it, that's pretty decent. It's a fairly hefty amplifier, which, you know, in electronics, heavy is always a good sign. So how does it sound? The most important factor for an amplifier. This sounds great. We're really, really impressed with it. For $6,000, you get a lot of functionality with the HDMI and the HEOS built in, but also having things like the toroidal transformer and those design decisions I spoke about make this unit sound fantastic for the money. It's got plenty of power. It doesn't sound like a 70 watt amplifier or a 100 watt amplifier. It sounds more powerful than that, so it's punching above its weight. Compared to more expensive amplifiers, like if you jump up from this to say like a $10,000 amplifier, like the Amplifier sort of E280 or something like that, the main differences you're gonna notice there, I would say, are probably three-dimensionality of it, the depth of the soundstage, and most probably and notably the layering of the individual elements. This has got a lot of great sounding things about it, like it's got a wide soundstage, a tall soundstage, a lot of backbone and body to it. The only thing I felt it was lacking compared to more expensive amplifiers was that layering element to it. Just a few things to bear in mind, mostly around the streaming aspect of this. It's not room ready, it doesn't have Tidal Connect, and it isn't MQA certified. And if you want to play Apple Music or Qobuz, the only way to really do that at the moment is via AirPlay 2 or Bluetooth. All of those are pretty small wee things. They're really things that could be fixed later in software if Marantz decide that they need to. So those being my only real notes on this amplifier, I think it has scored really well. So wrapping this video up, guys, a bit of a conclusion. Yeah, as I think you've gathered, we really like the sound of this amplifier for the money. It does everything we need. If any of you guys are thinking about getting this amplifier or you want to have a listen to it, if it ticks all the boxes for you, I'd say it's going to be a great one to own because I've tested it, sounds great, everything on it is working, and it really does do almost everything you could possibly want. So that has been our overview and thoughts and impressions video on the new Marantz Model 40N streaming integrated amplifier, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about it, pop them down in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them. If you like the video, give it a like and maybe consider subscribing because we're going to keep doing videos like this on all sorts of products. And yeah, thanks for watching. Ka kite anō.